Good evening. How's it going? Give some time to let some people filter in. I got a little late start tonight. Not my usual. Oh, that's very nice of you to say, Bara. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Yeah, it's not everybody feels the same, and I'm glad you do. Thank you for that. Very kind. Yeah, good evening. Oh, we have someone who wants to come up already. Wow, that was fast. Okay, let's let you come on up. I'm actually the guests on early tonight. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're my favorite. Actually, I was watching.
Oh, sorry, that was accidental. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
So you were saying?
I was saying, you're actually my favorite. I was watching you talking about the coincidences happening now in Pali. We really appreciate you. I'm not Palestinian.
Sorry. When you say the coincidence, what do you mean by coincidences? Sorry, that was an accident. I tapped the wrong button again. Sorry.
Yeah, the coincidence happening in the strip, and the atrocity. It's not much people talking about it, especially in the Western world. We really appreciate your braverness, and I know it's hard for a lot of people to come clean and speak about the what happening and the G side is happening. I'm not a Palestinian, actually. I'm Jordanian, but I was watching you since the beginning, and you literally we're talking what we're trying to say and spreading the word. And yeah, and I look up to you, and you're actually one of our heroes now. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I wanted to thank you yesterday and the panels, but I didn't have the chance when you were a guest there.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So you said you're from Jordan?
Yes, yes, I'm from Jordan.
And so I heard people, a lot of people, I don't know all the details, but I heard the largest concentration of Palestinians are in Jordan. Is that accurate?
Yes, yes, yes. Over 5 million Palestinian. They are Jordanian citizens. But
Wow.
I'm Jordanian from the north. I'm not a Pali. But my great great grandmas are from Palestine, from Jenin to be exact.
Okay. And so what are your thoughts on what we're seeing? I mean, obviously all the talk is the impending movement into Rafah. What are your thoughts about all that?
The movement about the jihad is happening now in the south of south of Rafah.
Well, we know they bombed during the Super Bowl. They just haven't moved their full-scale troops in there yet. But I mean, it seems like, I think the whole world is sort of aghast, including Egypt and even the United States. Is like, hey, what are you guys doing? This is crazy. So, is that what you're
Exactly,
hearing that they're going to
exactly.
definitely do it? 'Cause that's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. The thing is, a lot of people are actually scared, and we are actually in our toes for the people in the south of the strip. It's really heartbreaking, and it's really, you know, makes our her hearts bleeds daily, honestly, and nobody is holding them accountable. You know who the blue and white country.
Right.
Everyone's scared to put them in their place, to say ceasefire or to put an end to what is happening.
Yeah, it's way past due. Obviously, that's the real problem. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just Netanyahu or if it's others, but he seems completely hell bent on just doing whatever the hell he wants. Come here, Ruby. Come here.
Exactly, exactly. He's powerful. Like, we have to understand he's powerful. He hold a lot of powerful statements, just like what happened in the ECG court. They denied it was a G side, even though we have the videos and the evidence. It was a G side, uh, and the argument that Zios are having right now, they're saying, "Oh, well, you say it's a G side, but the court it doesn't say a G side." Well, if someone says it's literally insane. We're seeing in our eyes, like, it's documented. We don't care about what the court says. you know W- we see what we saw. You know,
Hey guys.
it's literally driving me insane. You're in mute, Mr. Chip. You're in
So sorry,
mute.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
we heard about 67 people lost their lives just the night during the Super Bowl, which was, I guess, last night. Oh, Ruby, hey, sit down. That's why I had it muted. I had to yell at my dog because she's trying to go sit on my bed. Stay there,
Hey
please.
guys, how are you?
Just one sec.
Hi, Eunice.
Just one sec, Eunice. So yes, we know 67 people were unalived. I saw some video about somebody talking about an Apache helicopter that was doing something. I don't know exactly what that was all about. And then, you know, I also saw a video about Mansour. I want to talk about that before the night's out that Quinn did. But so, I mean, let fingers crossed this is the cooler heads are going to prevail, because if they do come in guns a-blazing, I mean, I got messages today from people saying they want to leave, but they can't because
Exactly. Egypt are blocking them.
yeah, everyone's first of all being blocked, but even if they could, people are holding people like a bounty. You have to pay money to be able to get out.
Exactly. It's all about money.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, our Arab countries don't have no dignity, and I'm generalizing. I'm Jordanian, and also I'm generalizing. Also, my country did not do anything. It's really heartbreaking that we are so scared of them. You know, they're not letting us save them. The people on the strip.
Yeah, this is just one tragedy after another. And, again, remember that with this concentration of people, the health issues that have been bad today could get exponentially worse with things like, unsanitary conditions and, of course, lack of clean water. And I saw a story on Democracy Now! Today about a man who spent 5 hours a day just to try to get adequate water for his family. Sit down, please, dog. Thank you.
It's not about food and water, and actually, they're not letting them sleep right now. If you ever heard of it, they have this buzzing sounds to make their life living hell. I have talked to a lot of people who are living in the strip, saying not only we can't sleep, not only we can't eat and drink, not only we lose family members due to the G side. They're doing this buzzing sound to not letting us sleep and making our life living hell, to be honest, living hell. Like they're literally living in hell right now as we speak.
Yeah, that's what Israel's been doing for a long time in the West Bank and even in Gaza. It's just what I don't understand where the abject cruelty comes from, because I've seen a lot of cruel people in the world, but it's almost like they do things that they don't even have to do to maintain their security just because they want to make people as miserable as humanly possible. And then
Exactly,
they put up
exactly.
this really
They don't
nice
think of
fake
them as a
story.
humans. Yeah, they don't think of them as a humans. They think, oh, we have to get rid of them so we can be safe. This is how they think of them. When in reality, Palestinians have never been safe since 75 years. Every year there's thousand and thousand innocent Palestinians who get unalived by those teenagers at IOF soldiers just for throwing rocks and just, I've seen a lot of videos of IOF soldiers sniping, unaliving minors, children, ages ranges from 6 to 7 to 9, and then celebrating it just like they're hunting a deer or hunting a prize. It's really heartbreaking when people start losing their humanity and losing their sense of being a human.
Yeah.
uh, they started to turning into animalistic beast. Honestly, I cannot believe and I cannot imagine how Palestinians are going through this uh, since 75 years. I'm not a Palestinian, as I said, but it makes me infuriated. It makes me, very angry as a Jordanian. It's literally heartbreaking for what happening, especially now there's a World Cup, Asian World Cup. Everyone is turning it back at the strip, just like nothing is happening. And even in our community now, people are and Jordanian community are celebrating the Jordanian team success, and it's sad, to forget what's happening in the strip right now. I think the war should stop when it comes to Gaza, because it's literally a heartbreaking. I cannot even sleep the night.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's having an emotional impact on a lot of us. I know it's really hit me recently with what's about to happen, if it does happen. And I'm so tired of seeing the suffering. I'm beyond tired of seeing the suffering. And it's all so unnecessary. That's the whole point of this. Is no matter what they do as far as the age group is concerned, they're not going to eradicate resistance. It doesn't make any sense. This whole thing is just so ill-conceived. And I think even the Biden administration says you need to have some sort of specific plan, because if you're not going to be able to get the age group out, which you're not going to be able to do, what's the point of all this? Why?
Exactly, because it's ideology. It lives in every Palestinian people. It's a liberation movement. Everyone has a right to defense or self determination. You cannot oppress someone and yet expect them to love you. You cannot abuse a dog and yet to expect the dog,
Yeah.
to be in good terms with you.
And then there's a comment in the comments. I want to just read this off to the group. And again, this is what's hard for me, because I hear a lot of this all the time. So there's someone named Elana. I think that's her name. Thanks for being here, Elana. All comments are welcome, by the way. This is not to point you out, but it just says IDF working groups. If anyone unalives a civilian for no reason, they go to jail. That's very rare that happens. Eliana or Elana, I'm not sure how you say it. Sorry if I got it wrong. I've been watching this thing for many, many years, and that's what the society is told. And there are instances where people are held accountable, although it's by far.
Well, Aliana, that's not true. No, that's not true. A lot of IOF, soldiers who analyze Palestinians and yet they brag about it and they don't face consequences. So don't lie, Aliana. Have a
Well, let me
good
put it
day,
this way.
Aliana.
This is, to be fair, a lot of people in Israel and even around the world are not told, and they don't have time to experience the totality of what actually goes on. And so, if just like in my country, we hear that we're the best country in the world, we're about democracy, we're about freedom,
Exactly.
and so that's what we hear. So that's what we believe. And I think most people who are pro-Israel, they hear the narrative that it's a moral army. They go out of their way to warn people. They try to avoid civilian casualties. When it does happen, it's because of the H group forcing people to stay there as human shields. And then, of
That's
course,
not true. The H group
I
does
know it's
not
not
hold
true. I'm
them.
telling you, this is their narrative, is what I'm saying. And that a lot of people believe that. A lot of people who are pro-Israel actually believe that's what happens. Now, my experience is, and even recently, if you don't know this, Eliana or Alana, there are individuals that are standing in front of hospitals just out in the middle of the road, wrong place, wrong time, and Israeli snipers they just unalive them for no reason except for the fact that they can. There was a young girl who recently was in a car after her family had been engaged by what appeared to be a tank shot, and she survived, and she called for medical support like 911. And there's a totally just heartbreaking phone call for this young Palestinian girl. I think she was like
I
5 or
cannot
6.
imagine.
And so, and then they finally figured out where she was, and they sent an ambulance with 2 workers to save her life, and the Israelis shot the ambulance. So when you say that
Yeah, that shows
there are no
what people they
consequences,
are.
there are no
Yeah,
consequences for myriad war crimes, unfortunately. I wish it was a more moral situation, Eliana, but it's not. And again, this is not me making it up. I wish that what happened didn't happen from the bottom of my heart. This is what the Israelis do. I've watched it for decades. It happens all the time in the West Bank. Forget about what happened on 10/7. Just what's been going on for the last 3 or 4 decades. I've watched it happen on video time and time and time again, and there are no repercussions. Just during the average march for the right, a protest for the March Right of Return, where the people hold Palestinian flags, and they're thousands and thousands of feet away from the soldiers. There's no harm to the soldiers. They just fire at people. They hit them in the groin, in the knee, and sometimes in the shoulder, or sometimes right in their head. And when
exactly.
dozens and dozens of Palestinians die in that fashion every single year for no good reason, except for the other side has the weapons and the power to do so, and they just do it.
Exactly. There's someone called Seeing a comment. Graping is not a resistant. First of all, we are Muslim. We don't grape. It's haram in our religion. And second, it's actually a known fact that pedos are actually running away to the blue and white country and they're seeking refugee there. So
Well,
be effing for real.
let's say that for what it is. Let's just distinguish the two. So yeah, if you look at a map and you look up, registered SEX offenders. If you look that up in Israel, it's a pretty crazy.
Exactly. All of them, honestly, all of the
Yeah,
sex offenders run away there and they
let me
get shelter and they get defended there.
yeah, let me just finish the thought. So I want to distinguish though. That's Israeli society. And then we have the allegations of what happened on 10/7. And I've done a few videos on this recently. I went into someone else's live, a guy named New York City Joe, NYC Joe. And I just asked to the panel, I said, hey, I'm really, in all sincerity, I'm really trying to find out what did or did not happen on that day, because I really want to tell the truth, whatever it may be. And I said, right now, I have no proof to deny things that have been alleged, but I have no proof to corroborate it. And the people that have been shown that video, if you don't know, the Israelis had a compilation of things from the body, GoPro cameras that were supposedly worn by the fighters that day, the militants, the T-words, whatever you want to call them. And that footage was compiled into a video and they showed it to select journalists. And then I listened to the after, discussion. I did a video about this, a guy named Owen Jones, who's a guy who lives in Paris, but he's from the UK. A very trustworthy guy, in my opinion. I don't think he has any motivation to say one thing or the other. And he saw the screening. And so he described what he saw, and he mentioned a couple specific incidents which he thought were very hard to watch. But in none of the cases did he witness anything that reaches the level of the essaying or the burning or the removal of whatever, at least while someone was alive.
Exactly. Chip, you have to understand
I got to be able to finish my thoughts, and I'll certainly give you a turn. I'm not used to having somebody jump on me. I'm almost done. And then, so there were 3 instances that I saw in the videos, and I'll always tell you what I saw. I'll always be honest. I'm not going to hide something to make one side look better or worse. That's not being fair. I did see there was looked like somebody who was from Thailand that was on the ground in somebody's kitchen, and there was like a farm tool. It looked like a hoe, and that was being swung at somebody's neck area. I saw that happen. I didn't see what resulted in that. I just saw it, the starting point. There was nothing, there was little damage that got done because of it's such a dull toy, but that was one instance where that could have been alleged. And then I did see a picture of the aftermath of 3 soldiers, uniformed Israeli soldiers, that post-mortem had a part of their body removed. So that's what I've seen. That's the extent of what I've seen. Now, there were plenty of other civilians that were engaged that I saw done in real time, which was horrible, to be condemned, the whole 9 yards. But there's also a lot of ambiguity as far as the military response, the kibbutzim, the rave. There's so many questions, and the allegations have been so severely to one side. Oh, they did all this. They're monsters. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I can't say for sure, but it's only fair for those of us who are trying to make heads and tails of this to be able to see stuff. Now, New York City Joe, the reason I mentioned him was when I posed that to the panel, Joe said, hey, I got all this evidence. I'll send it to you. I said, great. Here's my Telegram ID. Now, since that moment, which I think was yesterday, or it was 2 days ago, I haven't gotten anything yet. And if I do, I'll share it with you all because I'm not looking to hide anything from anybody. But I keep hearing this is a theme that I've gotten over and over again. People say, oh, it's definitely here. Go to this Telegram group. So I go there. Nothing. Go to this server. Go. Nothing. Now, not that there's nothing there. There's just nothing that shows something happening. It shows stuff that's past tense as far as people no longer alive. But that doesn't say for sure, A, who did it, in what format, and by what type of way. Or as far as the SA goes, or the burning parts, many of those are resulting of cars, for example, that were on fire because of what appear to be Hellfire missiles, which are only fired by Apache helicopters. Can I say with absolute certainty it was only done by the response? I don't know for sure. But in terms of people like being tied up and then lighter fluid kind of thing, I've not seen any evidence of that yet. In fact, the one time I actually saw an Israeli spokesperson, someone in the military, who was in one of the kibbutzim, he later admitted that it was not the H group that did this. It was the H group being holed up with a family, and the tank shot into the house, and that caused a huge, massive fireball. And of course, that's what caused both the H group militants and unfortunately the Israeli civilians to become, unalive through that particular method. I'm not looking to hide anything from the public, though. If you all have proof, just show it. I don't want to see it, but I'll look at it for the sake of trying to corroborate stuff. You can blank out whatever you want to blank out. That's the bottom line. Okay, let me do this, Baral. Let me let you finish up, and I'm going to give somebody else a chance to come on after you.
As I said, they're using strong words to play in people emotion, as the raping and beheading, showing us as a barbaric people, especially the Arab people, just like the Western media and their propaganda, always showing us as those animalistic people who want to, chop off, just to dehumanize us. make us look bad, even though these things don't happen. Those things that they're saying actually is not allowed in Islam, even in your enemies. So those strong words are using to shock the public opinion, to put them against us, uh, to silence the victim and make the oppressor as the victim, as they claim.
Okay, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. You can stay on the panel for now unless we have somebody come. We'll just give somebody else a turn real quick. It says Eunice. I think Eunice is here. Hey, Eunice, how are you?
Hey, Chip. I thank you so much. I've been listening to you and watching you with pro-Israeli, pro-Palestinian. So I'm a Palestinian. I'm a 4 years old. I'm from Old City of Jerusalem. So I born in Old City of Jerusalem. I grew up. All these things happening. It's not about 7th of October. Trust me. Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, he's a dictator. He's been in the government from like 2007, 2006, you know? So he just destroyed the beautiful land. We don't hate Jews. We respect all the religion. We respect Christianity, you know? So right now I live in the state. I immigrant to United States because, I can't take it anymore. I grew up over there. I got my degree over there. I tried my best, but you know what? Every single time we had a problem with these people. So living under this old situation, being with like a wall, you can't travel. Imagine you can't go to see like Gaza Strip. I born there, I never went there because it's not allowed. So it's too much complicated. So the only reason to save this solution, just try to solve all this problem with these people. Because we love all the people. We welcomed the Jewish people back in 1948, We opened our country to them, It called country of honey and milk, We share everything with them. Now they try to just, push us back, push us from our country. It's a crime, man. Killing babies, women, elderly, and they called Hamas wherever they chop babies' head, rape women. This is not truth, man. Me as a Muslim, I can't do this thing. It's a criminal, you know? So to live and born in that part of the world is very hard to understand what's going on, Okay, some people like say, no, they did this, no. It's not only in 7th of October, man. It's a siege. You locked up these people from 2007 till 2023. And what? You just, push these people to fight you. And trust me, there is a lot of Jewish people and Israelis. They don't want this dictator. He's a dictator. So the Palestinian Authority. So you create this regime. And now you said, no, they are corrupted. They don't want peace, blah, 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 blah. So what now? There is like 3 million people killing them with cold blood. We are a human. When they start the war, they say, we fight animal and human. No, we are a human like you. We speak English, we speak Arabic, we speak Hebrew as well. We respect all the nation. Thankfully and thank God, I immigrant to United States of America because, free speech. We can explain ourselves. Over there, if you're gonna say something, they're gonna send you to the police, question you, blah, 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 blah. So this is not fair, man.
Well, I want to say something to be fair because I want to say in the research that I'm trying to do to try to get to the bottom of what happened on 10/7, and it's not about me, obviously. I'm just a guy. There's probably other people that have done a lot more work. I'm just not aware of what the work is they've done. But I've been very clear. I don't have evidence to say nothing didn't happen. So it could be, and I've also watched some interrogation videos of some age group fighters where some of the the shooting back and forth stuff has been admitted to. It was said they weren't told to do it or weren't supposed to do it, or even one case he said he was told to do it. and they knew they weren't supposed to do that stuff, and therefore it was wrong for them to do that. As far as the women part go, and the burning parts, and those more, I call them the more egregious. Not that anything's not civilian isn't egregious, but in terms of the more egregious allegations, those are the things I haven't been able to find confirmation of. So when I do, you have my word to the panel, everybody else. I will speak of it for whatever it is. Whether I'll just be honest. I mean, whatever happened
Thank you.
happened that day.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But listen, there is one newspaper called Yadot Ahronot. So this is breaking news. They said when the Apache was in the sky, they shoot everybody. You know, these these kind of people was fighting in the ground. They don't have like tanks or heavy machine guns or stuff. They only have M16 or Clashing or something like this, small, like not heavy guns. So what they did, they bomb from the tanks and from the sky, and they kill everybody. They kill the Jewish, they kill the Palestinian, they kill everybody.
Just real quick, we have to use silly words like unalive. I don't know why TikTok does this. We can't say the RAPE word. We can't say KILL. It's silly, but that's just what the algorithm does, or whatever it's called, the AI system.
I'm not like extremist people, or I hate nobody. I need my country to live in peace, because it's the Holy Land. It's not only for us, it's for everybody. We open our arm to everybody to come to visit Jerusalem, to see the holy churches, to go to Bethlehem, everything.
Yeah, it's sad the way things have played out. I hope there can be a chance for peace. Okay, give me a chance to let someone else speak. You're welcome to hang on for a second. Let me see.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So I think the next person, even though the order is different on the screen, I think Brian was next, and then we'll go with Pala 123. Okay, Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just started watching your logs recently, and I appreciate what you're doing, and it's nice to get a lot of points of view. Especially, I'm retired U.S. Air Force, and I was also a military brat. And so I've had an opportunity to live overseas for more than half of my life, actually. And something that as I followed government over the last decades, but I've never seen it quite like this. And I wanted to ask you if you've noticed it. But this thing about how everybody in our Congress and government, especially led with the no red line policy, led by Biden's administration, who I support actually, how everybody just jumped in line with this. I've never seen it to this level. And I want to ask if you've ever witnessed something like this, where AIPAC and something had such a strong pull to where basically it's like everybody's doing the same line. I just finally am seeing a couple people. Bernie Sanders just came out with a really strong video talking about this and saying this is insane. We're going to be sending billions of dollars in weaponry and finances to continue this to the Netanyahu regime, and none of it makes sense. So I was just wondering, have you ever seen such a blatant, just everybody's on board with no, Israel is our ally, and we will not, go against that, and even though this horrible thing is happening right now.
Yeah, I think this is a unique relationship and a unique political dynamic in the United States. If you just listen to the words of the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. She said, she was doing an interview in the Capitol, and she said, if this whole place came crumbling to the ground tomorrow morning, the one thing that will remain steadfast is our unwavering support for Israel. Now, that's didn't say we'll take care of the American people. She just said support for Israel. So it is very telling. There's a video that I watched again today. I've seen it before, but there was an interview with a former congressman named James Traficant. He was from Ohio. And he was accused of some bribery charges, so he spent some time in prison. And then, unfortunately, he died not too long after this interview. But he was talking to Greta Van Susteren of Fox News. And he said, I know, Greta, this isn't going to come across very well. But he said, the $3.5–4 billion a year that we give to Israel is just the beginning of the process. There's about $12 to $14 billion a year that actually make its way over in terms of total other things that go to Israel. And he said, quite frankly, He goes, the Israeli government runs us. Like they pretty much have a stranglehold on our government. And if you look at what's been happening since the 7th, and again, it's good to support your allies, right? If you have an ally, it's good to be supportive. But there's a whole nother level that this seems to have taken, and it almost like there's like no stopping any of it. And even though, there's somebody should be the smarter person in the room and grab Netanyahu and say, hey, dude, what you're doing is this is not okay. You wouldn't want it to happen to your people. Why would you do it to somebody else? And it's off leash, basically, for all the money we give them. You would think there'd be a little bit of accountability and a little bit of give and take, but it doesn't seem to be there. So yeah, it's unique as far as I can see it.
Yeah, I was wondering if you'd noticed that before. I certainly haven't. But anyways, I appreciate some of the other callers that have been coming in, because I was working as a contractor in Kabul, Afghanistan for quite a few years as well. And I just wish to heck that a lot of Americans could meet Muslims in their lands and see the generosity and stuff of the vast majority of the people over there. Because unfortunately, we get these biased reports and things, and a lot of people hear the word Muslim, or someone comes on the airplane with a hijab or something like this, and we have such a one-sided negative view of the Muslim world. And I think that buys into a lot of this, why people will buy off on no red line, or right along with the what Biden's administration came out with first, to the blatantly obvious wrongdoings of what's going on. And it's not support for Hamas. It's not support for some, terrorist group or something like that. That's shocked me as well, where there's a lot of different entities that have gotten rid of or fired people for literally showing just support for the Palestinian people.
Yeah,
And
well, no, it's miscategorized sometimes. The first few weeks of this, when there were protests, they wouldn't call them pro-Palestine, they would call them pro-Hamas protests. And I think that's obviously not being fair. I don't think most people spend their evenings praising the leadership and the rank and file of the more militant arm of the resistance inside of Gaza. I think they want to see Palestinians live in peace, and they don't want to see them suffer at the hands of a disproportionate response. And I think that's why people have been protesting.
Yeah, fully agree. Well, anyways, I appreciate your shows and stuff, and I've just started watching recently, and I'll continue on. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, thanks for your service as well. I'm sure the audience appreciates it, as do I. Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to get outside the country and meet other people, obviously, and I'm glad Brian had a chance to share that feedback. And let's remember, just like people in Israel, just like people among the quote unquote Muslim world, most people are about the same, right? We're not involved in high-hearted politics or anything outside of our day-to-day life with our family and our friends and our community. And so most people are about the same. We all want the basic same things, and certain things unfortunately have extremes, as there are in the Islamic world, as we all know, and there are also some extremists in the Zionist movement. I mean, that's just undeniable, right? So in fairness, okay, I think it's Palabel or Palaba 123. I think you're next.
Hey, you could
Thanks.
just call me Abdul. How's it
Abdul.
going? How's it going, Chip? We really
Good.
appreciate you
Welcome.
for the
Welcome
platform.
here.
We
Yeah,
really
thanks.
appreciate you for your voice. Thank you very much for your voice. I just wanted to mention that. A couple things I wanted to state also. I wanted to mention a couple things about what's going on, in Rafah right now. As we're all aware of what's taking place, we are all aware that the genocide and the massacres are continuing. So I just wanted to read a couple statements to you and to everyone, if that's okay.
Yeah, I want
So
to just
according to the
real
Palestinian,
quick before you do, I just want to Freedom Philistine. I have a favor to ask of you. Can I ask you to moderate the panel for a minute? I have to go switch my laundry out. I know it's kind of a silly request, but I have to go do it because my neighbors will get pissed if I don't do that. Let me make sure I get you off mute there.
I don't know how to moderate, but I don't know how to use the tools. If you can give me a quick summary, I'll be happy to do it.
Well, I mean, I'm adding you as a moderator right now. Really, all you have to do is just basically you're unmuted right now, so you can pretty much mute yourself or unmute yourself. And if people start to jump in on each other, just give people turns. The order right now is going to be, I'm sorry, you said it was Abdul.
Abdul, yes.
Abdul Palebi, and then random dude is next, and then of course yourself. So I'll be gone for about 3 or 4
Eliabe.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks so much. I'm going to mute myself. I really appreciate
Okay, so I just want you guys to know, so according to the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, PRCS, Israeli warplanes carried out a series of heavy airstrikes on various parts of southern Gaza and Rafah, focusing on the center of Rafah. The PRCS emphasized that the Israeli airstrikes they basically targeted populated homes, so people in their homes, of course, as they've been doing throughout Gaza, throughout the Strip, warning that what happens basically signals a major catastrophe. It added that the number of the people that are unalived, right, is likely to increase due to the missing victims under the rubble of targeted homes. So I just want to emphasize that people in Rafah, they're taking shelter. They're basically in, the green area where they're supposed to be safe. They're supposed to be away from everything, and they're still being targeted. This is what's really, really agitating and sickening, for the whole world to watch what's going on in Rafah right now, basically. This is like beyond anything we've ever seen in the world, in history. Also, the PRCS also mentioned that there's an insufficient number of ambulances, basically rescuing the wounded, after, what happened that bloody night in Rafah. Okay, Palestinian media reported that, the Israeli occupation forces targeted the Al Huda Mosque and the Yibna camp in Rafah, as well as the Al Rahma Mosque, where a large number of displaced Gazans were taking shelter. So how are you guys, how is anyone going to say that, the H are basically using civilians as shields when they're targeting places where there's people taking shelter, and they're supposed to be safe in these areas? You guys understand what I'm saying? So our correspondent mentioned that within 1 hour, Rafah turned into a war zone as it was subjected to dozens of Israeli airstrikes, adding that several, civilians unalive, martyrs and injuries have been transported to the Abu Yusuf al-Najjar hospital in the city, which has about 30 beds and is unable to provide, they're basically unable to provide care for all the wounded. About 1.4 million Palestinians have been crowded into Rafah, as you guys all know, with many living in tents while food, water, and medicine are becoming increasingly scarce. So they're running out of food. They have barely any food, any water, as you guys all know. So this is complete injustice, and we all need to stand and support the Palestinians in Gaza. We all want justice for the Palestinians in Gaza. In a related context, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to emphasize on. Just a couple things I wanted to state out of what's going on in Rafah.
Thank you, Palliabe. Yeah, it's
if you-
unfortunate that they are attacking Rafah. But I wanted to touch on a point to where the guest before you was talking about with the government. We need to understand that the government has been hijacked. They are not adhering to the American people anymore. They are only adhering to the corporations. They are only adhering to the lobbyists. I believe that they're pretty much complicit in this genocide. I believe they knew and understand what has been going on, and that it was something to incite this thing to happen. I believe truly that I'd say a majority of our politicians might be blackmailed. And that would be the only way that you can get complete support from people that are supposed to be working for the people, that are not even listening to the people whatsoever. They're walking. You see reports every day of senators and congressmen not even willing to talk to people about this because they're just walking away from them as if they don't care. They're not going to do anything to stop the situation. And that's not what America was all about. I mean, Chip, you and I are both veterans, and that's not what we signed up to do. We signed up to be good people. We didn't sign up to just take out or unalive innocent people, or, we signed up to do good for humanity. And it just behooves me that these people are out there just unaliving innocent civilians, babies. It doesn't matter to them. So I believe that there's something inherently wrong with what's going on in our government today, and I think it's time for the people to stand up and confront these politicians and see what's going on, why they're doing this. It's all about I think an imperialistic movement that's going on, and I believe that Israel might be the head of that imperialist movement, or the United States. As these empires fight to see who's going to lead their new world order, we'll see what happens. I believe that another foreign country needs to stop it because it's evident that the United States is not going to stop it. They're going to let the genocide continue, and that's not representative of the American people, because I know a majority of the American people don't want this. They don't want to see this. I see women on here, men on here crying all the time on TikTok because of this. It's put me into tears a few times just watching what's going on. It's horrific.
I think
So,
I'm just
Chip,
gonna,
you want to add in?
Yeah. Just
like
real quick, Philistine, I got to do one more rundown there. One of my things needed 3 more minutes, so I'll have to go back down. If you don't mind moderating, I'll be back in about 3, 4 minutes.
No, I'm here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Okay, next person up, I guess, would be Eunice.
First of all, thank you for your service. Second of all, so right now, all is calling for ceasefire. Nothing is moving, is happening. It just is very sad news. We've been for this from October 7th, and you know how many people die. It just, come on, man, stop this, please. Save the innocent people, please. Babies, elderly, women. It's insane, to be honest. It's a land just to be like a holy land for everyone. It's not only for Palestinian or Israeli or anybody. It's a land for God, for everyone. So Egypt doing nothing, Jordan doing nothing. Nobody is helping us. You know what I mean? So like my soul is living there, my body is living in United States of America. Even though like every day I'm watching the news, being in tears. Even sometimes I call myself, I can't do nothing to help my people. You know what I mean? So I'm just calling all the people of the world, just please, just cease fire and stop this, please. Thank you.
Well, Eunice, I have to add to that everyone knows actually the majority of the strip people are actually from kids and women and elderly people. They know that. They have a script, the IOF, they have a script and they have a plan, and they go according to the plan, and they're not gonna stop unless they achieve what they're planning for. And y'all are talking about the representative are not stopping this G-side. Those people are getting paid, they're getting paid of being against the Pali people. They're getting paid for being inhumane. They're getting paid for dehumanizing the Palestinian people and treat them like a third class human, or just like Bibi Netanyahu called them animalistic people. So everyone should know that it's a script operation. It's a military operation. I think it's a training for the IOF soldiers for what happening in the strip. They're training their army. You know, they don't care about human life losses. They don't care about humanity to begin with, because they know majority of the Gazans are actually under 14. Like 70% of the Gazan population are under 14. So I don't know where their loyalties are or their, you know, moralities are, but I don't think they're, you know, they think or feel like us.
Indeed, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, to live in that area, like locked up, you can't travel, you can't do anything. You just see the sea and you can't swim in the sea because somebody gonna shoot you, you know? So so what they gonna do? They now pushing all the way people to the border. So they wanna just let the people go to Egypt. I call my family back home. They say, Eunice, you know what? You left the country, but you know what? We rather to die in this country, not to leave it. So just to be clear, nobody is gonna move from that land. They rather
Exactly,
die
exactly.
there. You know, that's the point. So the
Exactly.
government,
As a Jordanian, I'm so ashamed of my you know, government. I'm so ashamed of our country not doing anything. It's really heartbreaking, especially the closest people or the closest country to Gaza is Egypt and is not doing anything. It shows what our government or Arab government loyalties and morality and dignities are. Our government have been hijacked by Zios. They're getting paid by Zios. I think they're Zios.
They
Like,
are.
it's
Yep.
clear. It's clear. And I talked about this multiple times with other Jordanians, other nationalistic Jordanian people. They don't agree with me. I don't care. They don't agree with me, but I see where their, you know, point of view are, and it doesn't match with me as a human being. It doesn't match. People who doesn't feel sorry or feel bad for what happened in Gaza, I don't want to be interacting with him. I don't want to live next to him. I don't want to talk with them because their morality and their dignity does not match mine.
And I just want to state something also. I want to reply to that a little bit, just touch up on it a little bit. So, as you guys can see, you know, like you see the entire world. Do you see what money basically can do? They're like people are putting money in front of, you know, humanity, you know? So, like, they see money as more important as human lives. You understand? So this is just, it's sickening, it's disgusting, and anyone that's supporting what's going on right now is also, you know, basically implicit.
Exactly. They have to check themselves up because they're not normal. They should go to the mental hospital for people who's not speaking for the Gazans and for their innocence. And I've seen a lot of comments here saying, uh, well, they started it. Well, what will you do if you were living in a cage? You cannot go out of it. You cannot, you know, cannot leave. If you leave, you cannot go back to Gaza. If you seek refugee in other country, you're not accepted. But also, you cannot go back to Gaza. This is not normal. They're actually experiencing what's it called? I don't know, the most inhumane and the most disgusting treatment. It's literally shameful.
excuse me, I want to add something. To be honest with you guys, as a Palestinian, we don't need any.
Eunice, I gotta let other people speak, so
Sorry,
please mute
sorry.
yourself. And
Okay.
uh, Grace Dress 5, go ahead, please. Grace Dress 5, are you there? Okay, Rando,
Grace,
go ahead. I'll
ممكن
get back to
تحكي؟
Grace.
Grace. Uh-huh. All right.
Oh.
I think Freedom has background noise. I'm still finishing up, but yeah. So as Palatable, you want to go ahead and talk? Because there goes Grace. You there, Grace?
Accident. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No problem. How you doing? What's on your mind?
How do I get rid of it?
Fish everywhere. It's alright. It's meant to be.
All right. Are you there, Grace? Okay, let's give Grace a chance to get back in business. We'll bring you up next, Grace. How about who was waiting to talk? Was it Eunice? I think Eunice was, right?
Chip, I just want to add small little things. I'm sorry about it. Listen,
Go
as a
ahead.
Palestinian people, we don't need any support from like Egypt or Jordan or anybody. We just right now focusing in our problem. Just stop this, because nobody's doing nothing, It just only innocent people die, and nobody cares. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So if you guys,
Eunice, you need support because you cannot be liberated by you cannot be liberated. You cannot touch freedom if you don't have a support. That's why we pressure our government to support you. Don't
I
say we
mean,
don't need
I
support.
mean,
How are you
yes.
gonna liberate yourself? How are you gonna?
Sorry, bro, but I was traveling through the border between Jordan and Palestine, and trust me, they treat us like,
I know, Eunice.
so
I know, Eunice. As I said, I'm so shameful and I'm so ashamed. I mean, of my government. I'm so ashamed of the military that you have to go through this. But let me tell you, most of the army in Jordan are actually from Palestinian descent. So don't blame it on us. We should not blame you did this or you did that. Let's focus about the Palestinian cause. Let's focus about the Gazans. We support the Gazans. We love the Gazans. We want to liberate them. We want to spread awareness about their atrocity that's happening to them.
sure, I agree with you. But right now, even the small kids in Gaza, he said, we don't need food, we don't need water, we don't need nothing. We need just ceasefire. I mean, support is very important, but trust me, nothing happening.
Support is a pressuring tool, Eunice. You have to understand when we protest, when we support, when we spread the news, when we spread what is happening, is putting pressure on our government so they can do something. Do you think they're happy when we protest? They're not. They want to stop it. So when we continue doing this, they're gonna have done with it and they're gonna do something about it. If we stay silent, they're gonna continue what happening
Okay,
in Gaza.
Panelists, I'm sorry to
thank
jump
you
in.
guys. I got to let people,
Yeah,
other
just real
people
quick.
come up to
And
speak.
I want to ask one favor of everybody. That is, if somebody else speaking, please don't jump in on them. Like, let them at least finish for like a minute and before you jump in on them, because it's really not polite to interrupt people
Yeah,
that way.
sorry, Chip. I was doing some other
No,
things.
it's okay.
I
I'm
thought you
talking
had
about,
taken over.
is it Bara? I'm sorry. I want you to give Eunice a chance to finish his thought before you jump in.
So, my mother-in-law, she got a dual citizen. She's American, and she got the Israeli ID. So when she start posting like what happening in Gaza on news and Facebook, like there is a rumor says if you put ad or you share video or we gonna come and take your ID from you, we gotta kick you to the West Bank. This fear, nobody can understand it until you live in that spot. So as in America, we have free speech, so we can explain ourselves, we can explain what's going on. I would thank all the American people for support us. There is like a new generation who start to understand there is some people called Palestinian, you know what I mean? And that's all. I would love the support from Jordanian. Like the majority of Jordan, they are Palestinian, and we have like relative and stuff, and Egypt too. But I'm desperate. As a Palestinian, I'm desperate because it's only talk. Nobody do nothing. That's it, and thank you guys.
Yeah, the thing is, they're no longer working for us. In any one of the countries all around the world, the governments are no longer working for the people. They are not republics. I think the only republic right now is probably South Africa, because they are working for their people. They're listening to their people. Their people are thriving. So So I believe that might be the only republic that hasn't been taken over by the I want to say Council of Foreign Relation or the big corporations that are dictating to our politicians what they need to do and how they need to do it. This is what I think is going on. This is only my opinion, of course, but I believe that we're in a very, very dark world, and I do believe that us Palestinians are God's original children, and these people that are in governments are the zealots that are complacent and attacking us, thinking they're doing it under a religious factor, but they're just doing it to do it because I think they might have entered that dark realm themselves, and they really can't do much as far as anything. I believe they've signed their souls away to this, and because once you pledge your allegiance to Israel, there's no turning back. So I believe that the Israeli hierarchy is a very, very dark entity, and I believe that the people that are complacent with it are following that dark entity also. Go ahead, Chip, if you're here.
Add something to that, Freedom. Just something really
Yeah,
small.
go ahead.
Just something really small. In my opinion, I mean, it's up for debate. But I really feel that most of the but most of the big countries like America, for example, the UK, the European countries, most of these big countries, they're also occupied by the Zionist entity, by greed, and everyone, basically no one will be free until the Zionism ideology ends. In my opinion, what would you guys think about that?
Can I add something very important before I go down so I can let and give other people a chance to speak? I have to remind everyone that we don't hate Jews. We love Jews. Jews are welcome to my country, are welcome to Palestine. But the only people who are not welcome are the Zios because they want to build a country on top of our bodies. And as you said, Pali, we respect the big country and their leaders, but we don't respect their decision because it's inhumane. And I want to thank everyone else who listened to me. And I appreciate everyone in this panel. Y'all are amazing. Keep doing what you do. And who want to join in this live? Because I want to go down. And yeah, have a nice day, guys.
Thank you, Bodo.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Freedom, did you want to say anything else, or you want me to take off on a different tact here?
It's definitely it. I believe it's this dark realm that wants to build that temple in pretext to in Judaism, they're the real Jews that are following the Torah and everything else. The Messiah is supposed to lead them back into the country. The Messiah is supposed to build a temple. So these people that are trying to precede him, I think, might be of the other course of that. But I don't want to get into it too religiously. I believe every religion has a right to their belief. I just don't believe that the Zios are actually of the Jewish faith. I believe that they follow a much darker path. Anyways, that's it for me. My mic is free. Anybody else want to come up and talk?
Well, I wanted to pose a question to the group to shift gears a little bit because I don't know about the rest of you, but let me switch the picture here. I've been seeing some weird things in the news and also on TikTok lately and even on YouTube. And if I'm the only person seeing it, we can talk about something else. But I've seen all these videos about alien stuff, like alien encounters and alien this and energy system, all this other crazy stuff. And I just don't know what to make of it. It almost feels like there's this concerted effort to kind of ply us with this idea of alien life. Has anyone else seen this stuff at all?
I see it all the time, Chip. But I think that's that could be another diversion tactic to take us off of our eyes off of what they're doing. Entertainment is that it's to take our eyes off of what's going on in the world today. The Romans had the gladiators fighting the lions. That helped Caesar stay in power. It's just the imperialistic movement. They keep you divided and conditioned with so many tactics and theories and things of that nature to the point to where you don't know whether you're coming or going. I mean, the Air Force had things that looked, like they might be, unidentified objects and things of that nature. So, I mean, look at the stealth thing. Flies in a triangle. That could have been perceived as an unidentified aircraft at one point. So, and they've been trying to, make something that actually flies on a different type of energy form. So I put nothing past the governments. I believe that they've got a lot going on. All I know is what we're seeing today is what we were watching on the Jetsons in the 1980s and the 70s.
Yeah,
So
the Jetsons, George Jetson, right?
yes, you got these drone copters now that'll just fly away and everything else, and we're talking to people via TV and via telephone, and so yeah. But that technology has been out for a long time, but it's just now making it to the markets. They've been working on that technology.
So you think that the ability to fly like a flying saucer has been out for a long time? Some people say since the 50s.
Yes, I believe so. I remember back in 1977, I was going with my uncle, my brother. They were partners in a deli or a grocery store in Long Island, and as we were going to work in the morning, my uncle pulled over because he saw something strange, and him and my brother got out and looked at it. Him and my brother got out and looked at it, and then I got out and I looked at it, and it was just moving too fast. But there was also reports throughout the newspapers saying, "Oh, a UFO! People spotted UFOs and things of that nature." I believe they intentionally put that out there, but it could be something that they were following. And I've seen a lot of videos with UFOs and the U.S. aircraft flying right behind it. So, what does that tell you?
I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know enough about it. I just know that Joe Rogan's talked about it before. He's had that guy Bob Lazar on there, that guy who's supposed to be. And there's some other guy making the circuit now. He says he has one of these things. If he dies, all this other information will come to light. What do they call it, like a dead trigger or something like that?
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. And the other thing I heard today was, and this is crazy, Megyn Kelly, the former Fox host at NBC, now independent, she said that Jeffrey Epstein may be alive. Did anybody hear that?
Yes. Yeah, I saw a video of him in September, September of this year, or August of this year in Lebanon at a nightclub. So there was a video circulating around. So
Yeah, I wonder if he has stuff. He must have a lot of stuff on a lot of people to be able to get away with
listen,
that crap.
I can tell you this: every Israeli that does something will get away with it. Look at Jonathan Pollard.
Yeah.
He stole the crown jewels of secrets and sold it to the Russians. They sold it to the Russians. The Israelis sold it to the Russians. So what does that tell you? That tells me that the Israelis are not our best friends. They might be our most, not the Jewish people, but the Zionists might be our enemies. And, look for the demise of this country, because that's what's happening. It's falling. This country is falling like a hard rock. And yet our politicians are laundering money out to other countries, but it's funneled back into them. just like the APAC thing, they're paying our politicians to run for office because they got them controlled and they're complicit and they want to, make their campaign big. But yet that money goes back to them in billions every year. So
As I've stated before, and I'll always say it, I'll always mention it to my friends. Judaism and Zionism, they don't coincide. They're not the same. They're completely
exactly.
different.
Yes,
Well,
we
hey,
know that.
well, hey, guys, I appreciate you for having me. Thank you, Chip. I got to drop. My phone is dead. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thanks for
Have a
being
good
here.
night, Pally.
You too.
Appreciate you. I don't know. Is that the first time he's been on this as a guest? I don't remember seeing his name before. But he
Yeah,
was
that's the first time. That's the first I've not seen him.
a really good guest. So yeah, that was some of the stuff I saw on the news earlier today. I was just curious if anybody, because the other thing I've been seeing is these survivalist videos, like what happens if we have one of these electrical outages and the first 24 hours, the first 3 days, the first week, all this stuff like that. And that's
Well,
not fun, that's not fun to think about. That's some pretty dangerous stuff.
yeah, you know what they're doing, Chip? I think that's what they'll do when we start rising up. They'll kill the power. They'll shut down the grid.
Makes
They'll
sense.
do some kind of solar flare to where everything won't work. Well, not really a solar flare, but a direct energy weapon. We know they have those. I know that they've used direct energy weapons on us here in the West in 2017 because our temperature within a matter of minutes shot up from 96 to 114 degrees. And when I got home, I noticed that all of my plants, all of my trees, everything, all of the vegetables, the lemons were cooked on one side. I mean, cooked. Tomatoes were cooked on one side.
Crazy.
Everything was cooked on one side. Even the corn leaves. I mean, corn grows down in Mexico where it's 123 degrees year round, and Blythe and these areas out here in the California desert, and they never dry up the way they dried up that day. So it's really crazy. Avocados were falling off the trees. Everything was cooked.
By the way, how did the avocado image become the Israeli image? They have a lot of avocados there or something like that. Is that their deal?
Well, yeah, they grow avocados, but they're zealots. So we have the watermelon, so they decided they wanted something, so they call it the avocado because they're growing avocados there.
Hey guys, I wanted to tell you a funny story. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
I bought orange, and there is one stickers called Jaffa. So back home in Jerusalem, so normally to see orange with Jaffa on it. So when I saw it in the United States, I was shocked. Jaffa, oh my God, So Jaffa, it's famous for orange and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
the Yapa oranges were the best-selling oranges throughout all of the times because they were grown there. The ground didn't need any water back there.
Wow.
We would just water the things with just a little bit, but everything would grow. We didn't really need that much water. We had natural springs all over the place. So it was a very, very productive. We had our own towns, our own infrastructures. We had our own railroad. We had our own airport in Palestine. So, the first theory that they came out with to steal the land was that it was a land without people for people without a land.
yes.
Yeah.
And when that didn't work anymore, then they said, "Oh, God gave us this land." And then when people started questioning that in the West, then they started bringing out the Holocaust thing because the Holocaust, the Nuremberg trials were when in the 70s.
No.
No?
They were like late 1940s.
Yes.
Oh, late 19. Okay, so all right, the Nuremberg trials. So, but they started coming out in Europe. They would say the Holocaust. Here in the United States, they would say anti-Semite. And there was, I think it was Menachem Begin's wife that said that it's a trick that they used.
But
And she
freedom,
was actually saying,
but
she was
freedom.
actually, Yes.
How you called it anti-Semitism? We are cousin. So if he called anti-Semitism, see, he anti us because we are cousin, right?
That's what I'm saying. But the Zionists use that. See, what they throw out, what they cast out at you, is what they are. So the people that are saying that anti-Semite thing, actually, they're casting out at you what they are. If they call you like they'll try to derail you in any which way. They'll start telling you you're uneducated. I'm sure they've done that. Chip knows what it's like to be on the Zionist radar. They've been trying to insult him in every which way but loose.
The one thing I like about Chip when like he's in live with bro Israelis, he just
Cool, calm, and
listen
collect,
and
baby.
yes. I was with live and listening to him. They was like, attacking him and he listening, calm, telling his idea. That's why I become
Well,
like I want to see
that's
this guy. I
that's
want to talk to him.
that's the way you have to be with these people, because when they want to get you yelling back at them and doing the same thing that they're doing, they're inciting you to make you look bad.
Trust me, I grew up with them. I know how they think. I
Yep.
know everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it can be rather painful sometimes to have to endure their ways, but so be it. No, I think it actually reflects negatively. In fact, the interesting thing, I don't know if you saw this, but I put a video out. I was very quietly enduring a lot of punishment one time for about 15 minutes, and I just recorded it. I didn't say anything in my video. I just said it's pretty interesting how people behave on their lives. Check this out. I didn't say anything disparaging, and I just let people listen to what they did. And so I think they got the idea pretty quickly that that was making them look really bad. So they actually changed their methods somewhat, which I think is a good thing, right? But, and I didn't do it to individually, just the flavor of how it works when you're just being bombarded with personal attacks one after the other, and disparaged. So, and listen, I always accept anybody's point of view. In fact, I understand why people have that point of view. It makes sense. I might have that point of view if I grew up in their culture, their society. I don't know. So anyway, for what it's worth.
I want to
So how
actually
about sorry, go
something.
ahead.
So yeah, so actually to piggyback on that, I talked to many people, Zionists, some from Israel, and like a lot of them say random stuff, but when it comes down to it, the core idea they have is that they just feel superior. That's what it's what it comes down to. They feel superior, we're stronger, and we do what you want. And there was an interesting poll that they did in Israel yesterday or day before. And we always think like it's Ben Gavir and Netanyahu that are very extremist. Unfortunately, the society is actually very brainwashed to the point that this is the polls that was released yesterday or day before. 59% of Israeli society thinks that IDF is not using enough force and firepower.
Yeah.
59% they think this is too little. 2% thinks it's too much. That 39% thinks this is the right amount. So that speaks to the society and the craziness. So at this point, I have no idea if there is anything that can change their mind. Like I'm just lost for word, and it's just crazy. So yeah, I was, when I read that poll, I was like, okay, there is no point talking to some of them because they've already made their mind. It's just they're just using this facade to cover it. But yeah, so that was one weird thing that I read. And one of the things I heard, like also people were talking about the raping and stuff like that. There was an New York Times article that was published. It was an opinion piece. It was not an article. And they wanted to actually do a newscast on it, or a live cast or a newscast, basically an audio version. And they actually withdrew it because they did not find any evidence to corroborate it. So they basically gave up. They canceled the newscast. It's published that basically they gave up on that, but they could not retract the article because, again, it was an opinion piece. But that's basically to show that even New York Times hasn't found any evidence to corroborate what they're saying. It's just an opinion piece. So those are very weird things that every time they bring up, I was like, show us the facts. Where are the facts? And there is none. And like, yeah, again, to go back to the Israeli society, I mean, we've all seen the videos of the Israeli people, these young people dancing in front of the entries, the truck entries that food has to get to Gaza, and they're blocking it. And they're not some, I guess, some like old people sort of just sitting there. No, these are like young 20-year-olds that are dancing in front of it and preventing food to go into the Gaza area. I mean, this speaks to the society in a sense, unfortunately. It's just sad. So all of these are sort of things that I don't know how we can deal with it as humanity. So yeah, I guess.
There are people that have pointed that out, that the mindset and the behavior patterns are an indication of evil. And I'm not making that assessment, but I've heard a lot of people speak to that. Do you think there's anything to that? Is the core elements of the Zionist movement, does it have some elements that could be considered evil, or do you think that's a mischaracterization?
There's a huge element of supremacy to it. It's basically this, I see a lot of, like, when you look at it, that's the same broad stroke that Germany had it in the 1940s. It's the same type of ethno-superiority. And like at some point I sort of had doubts, but the more I talk with people, I'm more convinced. And unless we start talking about it, I don't think there's a way to address it, right? The German problem didn't go away until we started talking about it and start educating the populace that no, we are all humans, we are all equal. So not human with a different ethnicity, you are not inherently better than other people. And I think that's the core of it. And at some point we have to start talking about it. I mean, I wasn't sure this is the problem, but I think I'm 90%, 95% going that way. It is the problem, I think. Like even the Zionists here, like in US, they have that mindset way in the back, but they sort of don't let it show. But sometimes you can get out of them that, yes, this is what we believe, right? You really have to put them in the corner, and then they quickly backtrack, but that's what it is. Yeah, so I don't know how the whole German situation got better, but it's a problem. And again, I mean, you were talking about earlier about how the 3-4 billion is not all the financial support US gives to Israel. Exactly. It's like, I'm in tech, and it's an unwritten rule that as a tech company, if you grow beyond a certain size, you have to invest in Israel because it's the preferred nation. And as a large enough tech company, you have to invest in tech. You have to acquire tech companies from Israel. For a lot of, like, there is VC monies that force you to do it. There's a lot of these unwritten rules that force you to invest in that country. It's crazy. Like, actually, in October 20th, or there is a news article in CNBC, a lot of the states went and bought Israel's sovereign bonds with retirement accounts. And if you're an administrator of a retirement account, you're bound to be fiduciary. You're bound to do investment that you know is going to benefit your client. But they didn't. This was not a fiduciary investment. As a matter of fact, the financial rating of Israel was downgraded. I'm pretty sure if people like the teachers, the police officers, the fire workers, goes through the state, they should win in the court because it was a politically motivated investment, and it lost them money, and they knew it was losing them money because Israel was engaging in a war, and countries who engage in war usually lose their credit rating, have deficit. It was natural, but again, it's financial corruption. I guess if somebody, I think New York, Ohio, Texas, Florida, a bunch of states basically invest in their retirement funds into it. So, and they just got downgraded. So the whole system is so corrupt, it's crazy. So.
That might be a plausible scenario because, 9/11, remember, there was a lot of stocks it came out that a bunch of stocks were traded the day before and shorted and stuff like that. Then I heard the same thing about Israeli stocks on October 6th being shorted, and so it's the same scenario. I believe
trading more or less. This one is actually using not doing fiduciary jobs. So different type of financial fraud, but still financial fraud.
Of course, they're robbing the people of the world. They're just stealing the wealth. Every time people are making some money in the stock market, they start wiping it out. That's why I never went into the stock market, because they have the inside job. They know the insides and everything else, and that's basically what they do. These families just rob everything. You ever see that Eddie Murphy movie where they took a wealthy guy and
Trading places.
right? So that's pretty much what they do, and that's pretty much what they can do to anybody that goes against them.
Yeah, that's when
So
that's when Dan Aykroyd was actually half the man he is now. He was a younger Dan Aykroyd.
yep.
But guys, the thing is, okay, now they killed like 30,000.
You know how much hatred they create. So if was a chance to be peace in that area, now it's more complicated. This conflict, it become like more very hard to find a solution for it, because now they talking about two-state solution. Man, we talking about this back in 1993 or early 2000. So I remember like 1989, it was the best time in that country. It was everybody living in peace. With the Palestinian Authority come, it was like calm. But then again, escalation. I think the thing is, in that area, it was like a religion, because the government now in Israel is very extreme. They're giving people, like civilians, people guns to walk, and, burning towns and
Yeah.
so even the United States pushing now them, you guys giving guns for civilians to kill innocent people, you know, I
Yeah,
don't get it,
did
man.
anybody see what Itamar Ben-Gvir, who's the finance minister, not Smotrich, he's the minister of something other. He said that he encourages soldiers to shoot women and children. That's what the guy said publicly.
Yes, I know. But here's the thing, like Ben Gvir, Smotrich, all these type of people, even there's another minister, he said, we don't care about Egypt, we don't care about Sisi, just open the gate, let the Gazan fleet to Sinai, and we're done. No, nobody's gonna move, man. Nobody gonna leave this country. Like back in the days, 1948, in Nakba, so people flee to, Lebanon, to Jordan, but now this generation is very understand what's going on. We're not leaving, We're not gonna let these people take over.
Yeah, they would rather die on their land, Chip, and I kind of don't blame them. If I was there, I would be the same way. I'd rather die on my land than to give it up to to these people that are just trying to take it. That didn't work it, that didn't earn it. My dad's home in Ramallah. We were just looking at a thing where my great grandfather put a cross up, and the building he built that home with his own bare hands, him and his brother, in 1858. So what does that tell you? That's that's our heritage.
Indeed.
That's our pride. That's they built the hand chip. They were chipping actual stones and making them square blocks, and that's how we built the houses back there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So imagine how hard they worked with their hands for 2 or 3 years building a home, because everything had to be chipped out.
Yeah. A lot of work. Wow.
Hey, Chip.
Hey.
I just want to add on top of what a random dude mentioned before. This is just the beginning of downfall of America, Chips, and we have talked about it previously. This will just accelerate what's already happening, right?
Yeah.
And when America is really desperately try to support outpost out there in the Middle East, and it knows that it's just a wound that will keep make America bleeding. That's all what it is. It will take all the resources out of this country, and it will just make it look more bad and bad. And that's Plus, random dude. You remember there was this app called what was it? And actually Google bought it up. Waze. You remember Waze? Long time ago, it was Israeli
Yep,
app.
I worked in Google. I remember Waze. I know all of those things.
Yeah. So these apps they don't have any value, Chip. What happened is that American companies are forced to go there and buy out those apps, and they're forced to do that for one reason other than just to support blindly whatever system they have inside Israel. So
Founded in San Francisco in Bay Area, but they headquartered in Israel, and a lot of these companies don't actually do much real operation in Israel. But what they do is that the investor invests through Israel. That way, the money can funnel through Israel, and then they can justify valuation. There's a whole set of accounting frauds that go into these acquisitions, and the reason is that United States, for all its problems, has some regulation, some checks and balances. You can do Freedom of Information Act. You can ask when US wants to sell any arms to any country, there has to be approvals. There's a whole set of things. Israel doesn't have any of those. So the moment the money goes to Israel, you can do whatever you want. The moment that arms goes to Israel, you can send it to any T group, any other government that's not on the approval list, and you can use them as a sort of proxy that sells stuff that launders money. It's one of those biggest money laundering facilities in the world for United States. And that's part of the reason US really wants it, or people in the power in the US really want it, because it's a huge money laundering machine, way bigger than Panama or what have you. And nobody talks about it. Like people in power know that's how those transactions happen. That's why all those transactions happen. And people in Israel, they are also being sold like this horrible story, which is not really real. They're foot soldiers. Like if you look at an average Jewish person in Israel, an average Jewish person in diaspora, they have lower wealth, lower income, they work harder, they have to go to military service. So it's not a promised land for them. It's actually making their lives worse. And it's making every other Jewish person across the world worse, because every time Israel does something and they use Jewish people as human shield or as religious shield, it affects anti-Semitism across the world. So Israel itself is bad for Jewish population. And you can use numbers to prove it. Like literally the wealth and income of Israelis is less than the wealth and income of Jewish people across the world. So it's all like, it's a fact.
yeah, but random dude, we all know that the word of Jewish ethnicity or religion has been hijacked long time ago, and we know that since 48. It is just it's just being misused. It's being used to propagate whatever agenda they have, and that's what I've been doing since.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it doesn't serve the people of Israel itself. They would be better off if this whole Zionism concept didn't exist. And normal everyday people, there's obviously wealthy people who are benefiting from it. And most of those wealthy people actually don't live in Israel. If you look at the wealthy people who support State of Israel, they mostly live in United States or France or some other country, because they don't want to be in their direct line of fire. They want to be from somewhere else, using that as a vehicle to launder money. Like they don't live there. Like you look at all
I
the,
understand. I understand,
yeah,
but
it's
those Nazi
crazy.
Nazis from Europe, they are really taking advantage of this situation. Right? That's the only reason why they're in power is because they can stay in power and they can ask for more money. So
It's crazy. So I don't know. I mean, I hope like people in Israel actually realize that they're a tool. Even the IDF soldiers, yes, there are horrible things they're doing, but they're a tool. They're not doing a service to themselves or anybody else. They're just foot soldiers for a bunch of wealthy people. Like it's like you think of medieval era, the foot soldiers who force the farmers to work harder. But that's their role. I don't know if they understand it.
I kind of understand what you're saying because they're being held some sort of hostage behind the idea of being Jewish, your ethnicity, your religion, or your ideology, and then on top of it is Zionism and everything else, right? But I think there's also some sort of uncertainty. So if they give up what they have, what can they get as a replacement, right? And there's that uncertainty. They think they don't know, so they have to continue support, right? Because they say, well, if we give up the country as Israel, what's going to be the replacement? I don't know what's going to be the replacement, right? Chip, do you know what's going to be the replacement? I mean, so.
No, I don't think there's going to be a replacement unless there's conflict.
And then they've made Palestinians look so bad. Then when they look at that, towards that direction, I'm like, okay, it's not going to be peace with these guys. So we have no option other than just to do whatever we've been doing until there's a serious issues and ultimatum from the rest of the world, right?
Well, I would say the sooner they sort of mellow down, the better their option is. Like most of the Israeli citizens have like dual citizenships, right? So they have an option, even if there's a one-state solution, right? They can decide to stay and live in peace with a non-ethnic, it's a democratic single-state solution, or move to the other countries. And again, statistically, they will have a better life that way. So they have an option, but as it goes forward, if people start getting to this, as they do these things more and more, there's going to be more repercussion, right? Imagine 5 years from now, people are going to see all these videos and they're not going to be happy with letting even these dual citizens come to their country, right? It's gonna piss people off when they see somebody who unalive kids now being their next door neighbor, right? These things don't stay the same. I don't think they realize that the options today that for Israeli people have is better than the options tomorrow, is better than options 5 years from now. There's going to be a better option for them today than 20 years from now. 20 years from now, if they still want to do iron fist, it's going to be disaster for them.
So here's my 2 cents, right? So we all know that what you call these so-called superpowers, they're not going to confront each other directly. We have seen it after World War II. We have seen it. So America would never go war against Russia or because of but they're both going to destroy each other, right? So what they're going to do, they always use proxy wars. Now, we all know that. I mean, it's so obvious with today's development that Israel is some sort of how can I put this? Some sort of a point of it's not a if you go after Israel, basically you're going after America, right? So basically the same thing with South Korea and stuff like that. So China and Russia, they finally understood how this game's supposed to play, right? So because America would always stand behind Israel unconditionally, and that would support, they would say no to their own people, but they would say yes to Israelis, right? However that agreement is, right? And that's a very, very, it's not a good thing for America. It's not a good thing because finally you found an area that you can keep pushing and then, make America vulnerable. and that's not a good thing for America.
I don't think America is gonna stand behind it 10 years from now. Like it's a policy driven by the benefit of sort of the people who rule the country, and sort of 50% or 40% of the country still supports Israel, right? And when you have money behind it, you can push the 40 to appear as 50%, right? Or more. But the thing is, if that 40% who support Israel becomes 20%, all the money would not win you an election. That's the thing, right? When 20% just support that country and people see it, which is probably going to happen when people start to see more, and then a lot of the older generation sort of go away. There is going to be more younger demographic, their voter demographic. They are going to have more stuff against Israel than the older generation. So yes, today that's the case. But 10 years from now, I think all the money in the world will not change the opinion of people, right? As much as I hate Trump, right? He's a horrible person for many reasons and all that. Whatever. I'm not going to go into the politics. But when he won in 2016, Hillary Clinton had more money behind him, way more money behind him. But he won because people wanted him. So again, that's the truth. Now, was that a good thing? I don't know. I don't like him. So, right, I don't want to talk about that part. But all the money in the world cannot move 20% to a 50%. Now, it can move 40 to 50. So that's, I think, where things will be heading. And like US, when they don't care about a country, it's gonna be sort of they stop supporting it point blank, and that's it.
I understand, but
I mean, it's national interest at the end, right? It's opinion.
Yeah, but you have to understand the Zionist ideology within the country, or how they really got infiltrated inside our society, goes back to 100 or 200 years ago. These people have been working hard secretly to take control of our government, whether you're Democrats or Republicans. We all know that, how the whole thing is intertwined, right? And it's hard to know that the people that we elect, or those people in our government, are they really for us, or are they for Zionists? Because we have seen it previously, like JFK, when he started talking about the secret society, or whatever his last speech was, how he ended up. And even Nixon, actually, he was up to something, and then you saw him resigning. Eventually that got into him. So these people are very deep into this establishment, and when they use words like, what is it called, the deep state, these people are the deep state, whether Democrats or Republicans. I mean, we all know that Christianity is very strong here in America, right? And Zionist Christianity is also very strong. So it's not easy to sort of take it out of. The only way it can happen is that if we change our society, the way we vote, and then term limits and some other changes, fundamental changes in our system. So, in my opinion.
I guess I agree with some. I mean, US politics has been driven by money forever, but the impact of money has been significantly more. If you look since Reagan, the impact of money has grew much larger because the tax rates have dropped. And if you look after Citizen United, it's been significantly more money driven. And as the impact of money has been stronger on US politics, the power of Zionist entity has been stronger, because again, it's a feedback system that sort of feeds on money and makes you richer, right? So that's how it's been, and it's been accelerated. The question is, like, how much power does that money have? First of all, people are pissed off at how rich some people are, and everybody else is scrapping for crumbs, right? So that's a problem, right? That's a fundamental problem that one way or the other is gonna have ramifications. Like, either that's gonna get resolved, money is gonna come down from the top, or people are going to revolt like that. No society sustains the level of income inequality that we have in US. And something is going to happen. If the politicians are smart enough, they'll raise the tax so that they can give more money to the average person. If they're not smart enough, they cause a whole shenanigan revolution or what have you. So I hope they're smart enough. They know they have to take the money from the top and put it back to the bottom of society or to the average people. And if that happens, again, we have more democratic society. But even then, I think money can do so much. When people are pissed off, they vote against the money. Part of the reason I don't think we have a huge movement today is because we still haven't enlightened more than 60%, 70% of Americans. But it will happen.
Well, I mean, I agree to majority stuff what you said, but you have to understand, in order to be able to bring change, there are fundamental things that needs to be removed. And when we sort of got off of the gold standard and other things previously, the Federal Reserve, and there's so many things that are actually causing where we are today, right? And even though that the dollar itself, it's a strong tool for American, society or financial engine, at the same time, it's a weak spot because America really doesn't produce. I mean, I know America produces food and stuff like that, but that's not where we make money. We produce actually fake money, right? So as much as it's a good thing, but at the same time, it's a very weak thing, right? If, we have talked about previously, if countries around the world stop, using dollar, then, American society, as much as the rest of its financial system, will actually collapse. So,
Peg off the gold, and they put it on our people. They took bonds out and contracts on our people with your social security numbers. They took it off. They took us off the gold standard, and then now they're backing us with slaves. The pyramid on our dollar bill is there for a reason. They have a slave debt system in place for a reason. It goes back to Pharaoh. The bloodlines go back to Pharaoh. If you go deep and 10 years of research and don't stop and keep going and not use Google for the research, you'll find things that you don't want to see. But the reality is that they are intending on a escalation protocol in order to eliminate the threat. Who's the threat? You guessed it. I don't even need to say it. And we're actually more intelligent than their smartest AI. They know it. So now, what is it? What's the, what would you do if you were in a top-down situation and you had a threat on the table, and let's say you were evil, right? What would you do? Would you start injecting people? Would you start unnecessary wars for, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, we're all going to look at this with wide eyes and say, okay, we got it. It's got enough evidence. Yeah.
I mean, the stuff what you're saying is very abstract, but I just want to be specific. So I think America is actually in some sort of desperate attempt to survive, Chip, right? And these are desperate attempts at trying to really, I mean, it knows that for the past 20 years, it has, destroyed the reputation of being, good. And people have seen it. I mean, Gulf wars and stuff like that. So I mean, in order for America to really survive and bring back the old image of, we are good people, then it really needs to step up currently what's going on in Israel. So.
Yeah, it looks like Joe Biden's finally figuring that out. Although, did you see today what happened with him? They had a report that there was a publicly released report about his cognitive ability. Did you see any of that? He got really angry when somebody asked him about it. And obviously, if you look at him just 3 years ago and look at him today, totally different human being. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just go back and look at a video from when he was vice president.
I saw it. He was saying, I have good memory. He's
Manchurian
embarrassing.
candidate.
He's embarrassing us, man.
Yeah, it's pretty
Well,
bad. So
here's the thing. It's not just the United States. I think imperialism or the rule of government is going down worldwide because people are waking up and understanding that these people are not conducive of taking care of the people. They're just taking care of themselves, and that's what's going on. It's not just our government here in the West, even though our government is failing us in the West big time. But it's governments all over the world. Chip, we don't have an ounce of gold in our Fort Knox. It's all been shipped off to Austria. It's all been laundered to the money changers.
yeah,
So that's what's going on. So they depleted the wealth and they're ready to throw us out.
yeah. The other thing is, I don't know if you've ever seen if a business is about to fail. This is a very indicative thing if you don't know much about how businesses operate. So when a business is about to fail, the officers who run the company completely spend every last dime of their credit in cash because they know it's about to go under. And so look what the US is doing. It's going on this huge, like rampant, out of control spending spree, $34 trillion and counting. And I think that this is our last chapter. I hate to say it because this entity as it's currently constructed can't last much longer.
Look at logically, if you made only $2,000 per month, but your spending were $4,000 per month, would that wouldn't even last a month or so, right? And that's exactly what our government is doing. And they think that they can keep doing like that, but the rest of the world is watching. China is watching. They say, well, we want to pull our money out before these people are going down. When they start dumping the bonds, whatever they have, that's it. And then once they're doing, other countries will start doing it too. It's just a matter of time. So
Yeah, it's like musical chairs. When the music stops, everyone's looking for a chair, and there's not many chairs left to go around. So interesting. I'm going to be on again tomorrow at noon, just for everybody who knows. I'm pretty beat today though, because I don't know, I just was really wiped out when I started. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not my normal, loud and active self. But I wanted to say thank you for Freedom for doing the moderating. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it tonight. Thanks a lot for doing that.
Anytime, Chip.
Really appreciate it. And for all the rest of you here, so yeah, come on back tomorrow. I'm going to be a little more lively tomorrow. I need to get some sleep and catch up. But just for those of you who are new, I have a link tree in my bio. I record these. It'll be up on YouTube if you want to check it out, or on my Rumble channel. I'm going to stay up a few minutes, just record it, put it up there. So if you want to check it out, all the episodes we've ever done are on the YouTube channel and the Rumble channel. And the link in my bio gives you access to it. It's pretty self-explanatory. So that's all I got for tonight, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
thank you, Chip. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Chip, by the way, do you have some of the recording? I have been on for the past 2 weeks. There some family emergency. You have some of the cons. The guy who's really knowledgeable. Khan, you remember him? Do you have some?
I don't remember which one he was on. Obviously, I don't archive them with that many details. I just put them up as is, so I'd have to try to remember. But he hasn't been on for, I think, about 2 weeks, maybe 10 to 12 days, I'm guessing.
Okay, something is going on with him too, maybe. So
Could be.
okay.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a good night.
All right.